A trending topic right now is the state of Virginia and car insurance. A lot of people are looking for how to get the cheap or cheapest car insurance in this state. Today we're going to go over and give you those companies that are going to give you the best prices, but also explain the different versions. So there's different levels of companies and different fits for different people. Are you young driver, old driver? Do you have a teen? Do you have a ticket? Do you have an accident? We're going to dive a little bit further into depth and explain which one's the best fit for you. Now there's several resources, and one of the confusing pieces is when I go to everybody's website, literally everybody has a different answer. So I'll give you my professional opinion and let you know which ones are likely the best. Some of the resources, if you want to know, we're using NerdWallet, we're using Zebra, we're using WalletHub, we're using Forbes, we're using MarketWatch, and then I believe the last one is called Bankrate. To give you a really good example, the national average for car insurance is about a little over $2,000 per year. If you look at some of my older videos 6 months ago, it wasn't even $1,800. So it's creeped up quite a bit, and the cost of that, as well as homes, have gone just astronomical. That's probably the reason everybody's searching for these answers. The average is actually lower than the national average for Virginia. In Virginia, you're anywhere from about $1,200-ish to $1,500. Depends on the source that you use. Honestly, I think the $1,100 to $1,200 should be a good fit per year. That's if you're doing full coverage. Obviously, it's a lot less expensive if you're just doing PLPD, just the state minimums, basic coverage. One thing to note that the state doesn't require that you actually carry car insurance. So if you're one of those people that are willing to take that risk, I believe you have to pay a $500 fee or fine every year, and you just pay what's called a UMV. I think that's uninsured motorist vehicle, where you're allowed to drive and take that risk. Just keep in mind, if you have an accident, you're responsible for the liability. So if you hurt someone or injure someone, property damage, if you damage their car or any type of property, and anything that they go after you for. The reason that the state doesn't recommend it, and honestly no one should recommend it unless it's just absolutely no other option, is the fact that you're literally risking everything that you have. But Mark, I could just go bankrupt. Sort of. In insurance, yes, they could go after you, you could just claim bankruptcy, but in most cases when you're in a lawsuit like that, income is what's being protected. So just like you would expect if you had a child and had child support, right? You have to pay that regardless. So for the next 30 years or whatever the case of, well, 18 years in a child support, but in that case, you're paying that till they're 18, part of your income. Same thing with the major loss like that. If you injure someone or impact their life, then you're paying some of that income future out to them. Enough about that. Let's dive into the companies that are going to be the best option. For most of you that are watching this channel, if you're under the age of 20 and you're between 16 and 20 and you may have a ticket, you may have an accident, honestly, it's called high risk. If you are in that bucket, you're considered high risk. Right now, USAA and Geico are going to be the best option to look at. They tend to do well with those high risk. USAA, you have to be or know somebody, be a family member of someone that's in the military, so not everybody can apply for them. They are a really good company as far as customer service goes, but then if that's not the case, you need to lean towards Geico. You can just go to Geico's website or you can call them up and just get a quote live. The other main companies that we're going to mention is when you start to get out of that high risk and you're 25-ish on up, you're going to be looking at a handful of companies. It's honestly a really good fit for a lot of them. And I'll go more specific in it, but we're looking at Progressive, we're looking at Nationwide, we're looking at Allstate, we're looking at Travelers. Those are really the big pillars in your state. I actually have a company that works with all four of them, so if you are going to shop those ones and you aren't the other fit, then I'll put a link in the description below where you can just do one quote and get all the prices from them. But Mark, where does State Farm come in? That's all everybody hears about. Yes, State Farm is in the mix with this state, but they tend to be more popular when you have a DUI. If you don't have great credit, but you don't have any accidents and don't have any tickets, Nationwide tends to be the more popular one. Bad credit, you're going to be looking at Nationwide and Geico and USAA. State Farm kind of falls in that fourth spot, but Nationwide tends to be the winner here by about $200 per year. You have an at-fault accident, they're saying USAA and State Farm according to Bankrate. If you go to MarketWatch, they're saying USAA and Nationwide. So those tend to be kind of those three pieces. Honestly, I would put Erie Insurance because they did kind of show in the middle of most of these. So if you have an at-fault accident, Erie Insurance might be a good option as well. For those of you that are average, where you don't necessarily have an at-fault claim, maybe a comprehensive claim, maybe a ticket, even if that, you're looking closer to Travelers and Nationwide. Chubb is also a third option as well. They are fairly competitive in that specific niche. Honestly, all the companies want your business at that level. That's really the fit. But as far as the companies that are most competitive, those are the three that you're going to want to look towards. Once you started getting into having multiple tickets at the age of 30, you're going to be looking closer to Erie Insurance. As you get into the older age ranges, if you do have, like we mentioned, DUIs or several at-fault claims, you're going to start to see Farm Bureau and auto owners be fairly decent for that type of risk. Don't get me wrong, honestly, in all those scenarios, whenever there's a higher risk, I always throw Geico in the mix because they tend to be competitive where a lot of companies aren't with those major claims. But according to NerdWallet, those are the two companies that have the best risk for a 30 to 40-year-old. They have more claims than normal. Good claims, but an older person, then you're looking closer to Chubb or Nationwide. Once again, they like credit, but they also just like not having a lot of claims on hand. Liberty Mutual does fall a little bit in the mix of some of these. You're not going to hear mentioned a lot because they tend to fall off the board a little bit. They have a sub-company called Safeco who can be competitive in these areas. So once again, that's one of the companies that the companies I work with does the Nationwide, Travelers, I believe it's Safeco, and then they also have, I believe, Chubb as well, and several other companies in the state of Virginia. If you're interested in that, once again, I'll put that link in the description below. But looking at the person that's 50 or older, now we're kind of getting in that sweet spot. Chubb is the winner in a lot of these cases, but Penn National has stuck their head out and said, we want to be part of this. That's like that perfect scenario. Penn National doesn't necessarily have a great reputation, so you may want to do some research on that to see if it's necessarily a fit for you. And then we also have Farm Bureau, who says, obviously, I want the perfect person. I'm not gonna lie, everybody wants that type of person. If you're 50-year-old, you don't have any accident, you don't have any claims, really Nationwide, Progressive, Safeco, Allstate, all of these companies are gonna fight for that type of business. Progressive does give a really good discount for those that do pay in full. Usually it's several $100s off your payment for going with them and paying the bill up front. Now, I know I mentioned a ton of companies, and there's honestly more than that. There's also Alpha Insurance. Once again, not the best reviews, but when you get to 60 to 80, they tend to be a better fit in most of those cases. For those of you that are looking, my personal opinion, the ones that I would check with, Nationwide has been really good. Travelers in your state, I see a lot of really good things from them as well. Erie, I would put them in the mix. If I had the choice between the three, I would probably pick one of those two as well, but Erie would be a good third, and then Allstate for me would be another option. Allstate tends to be a good company, and if their rates are good in Virginia, not 100% sure if they are anymore because Allstate has gone a little bit crazy with their rates lately. But if they are a good fit, then I would lean to them as a fourth option. If you can check with USAA and they are a good fit for you guys and the price is good, their prices as well as everybody else's has been going up and up and up, and their service level has been going down and down and down. If you watch, I'm singing a song, up and up and down, down. If you watch a video I did a review on them, I get a lot of comments where the employees are commenting on the video saying that, yes, we agree, we're overworked, there's too much going on here, and service levels have dropped drastically. Prices are going up, customers are complaining, and USAA in general is just struggling. That's not to say that they're a horrible company. They're still a decent company, but there's something to think about in your state if they are a fit for you. So it's up to you to decide what's the best fit. Like I said, links in the description below if you want to check a handful of those companies. Otherwise, let me know what companies you have found to be competitive. What's the average that you're paying? Does that fall within that national average that we're looking between the $1,100 to $1,500 per year? If you're not quite sure what coverages to carry and you don't want to go down the route of having no insurance with that UMV option in your state, then I'll put my description, my Auto 101, which will go over the details and kind of give you an idea of what coverages you should carry. If you already have a policy and you're just looking for a better deal, I'll also put my discounts 101 here, where I'll go over some of the discount options that you should be carrying on your policy. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.